Junior high. Hello and welcome to La La Land on LA Talk Live. That's Dorothy Dillingham Blue.
And there's Brett Chapin.
Thanks for joining us on La La Land. This is the only nationally broadcast show by Los Angeles artists about Los Angeles artists on episode 118.
Fabulous. How you doing today, Brett?
I'm all right, Dorothy. How are you?
I tell you, I feel like I've been rode hard and put up wet. I mean, I've had a long 3 weeks. I've been doing these musical theater camps. Just finished 2 out of 4 for the summer. And
all right,
man, he'll take you out of there. That's a lot of box steps. I mean, that is a lot of pas de bourrée, and there's a lot of that.
I don't speak French.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean?
A lot of pas de bourrée?
Yeah.
Pas de bourrée is a simple dance step that you should know if you are in a musical.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
Good thing I'm not a dancer. Is it French? Is that French?
It is. It is.
Oh, okay. I was just guessing.
It's a French. It's a French. It's basically the French box step, kind of. Wouldn't you say? Yeah, I'd say it's a French box step in a way.
Awesome.
It's a ballet term.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm a double threat, not a triple threat. So,
Nailed.
but maybe someday I'll learn the pot of beret or whatever you said.
Well, I was listening to an interview with Rob Delaney. He's a comedian, but
love Rob Delaney.
Yeah, and he was talking about the way he got into comedy. He was touring, doing musical theater, and he decided they were like running late for one of their performances, and so to entertain the 2,500 people that were in the audience while everybody was doing a mic check, he was just telling stories about his day, and all these people started to laugh, and he goes, "Wow, that's what I want to do. I want them to laugh because of something that I said from myself, as opposed to something that came from words written by another person."
I laugh at a lot of things that he says.
He's a funny dude.
I think he's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you follow him on Twitter?
I do not. I was listening to him being interviewed. Seth Rudetsky was interviewing him, so I was listening to that.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm.
Follow him on Twitter, Rob
Yeah?
Delaney. Yeah.
Okay.
He's hilarious and ridiculous and gross, and it's awesome.
Yay.
Yeah, good stuff. He tweets a lot of things to Chick-fil-A.
To Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, he asked them, when the ruling came down this week, he tweeted if they had any specials. He wanted to know, and he's, good stuff.
All right.
Yeah. Rob Delaney, shout out. Should we talk about this this no hate thing, this ruling?
Of course, absolutely. I was outstandingly thrilled to find out that now all of my friends who have someone that they love and want to spend the rest of their lives with are going to be viewed equally under the law. That to me is it's going to be one of those things that our kids read about in textbooks and go, really? That was new when you were an adult? Like that's something that wasn't before?
It's like we look at segregation now and say,
exactly.
I can't believe.
And the fact that it came close to, you remember we were talking to Take Me to the Poorhouse, to
yes.
the people from there, and the case of the Loving case that made it legal to have any sort of biracial marriage. It's something that's in history books that I look at and I'm like, really, that wasn't okay? I mean, it seems okay to me. Like, why would it not be all right? And but it's also when you talk to generations of past, there's still people that do question it, and I think that's unfortunate. But I think we as forward-moving people and what we teach to our children can really take the question out of it to make it more of this is how the world's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
With you love who you love.
It's so funny to think about that, blacks weren't allowed to sit on the same part of the bus or use the same water fountains. All that's just so absurd to us now. And I hope our kids look at this time and say that,
that's absurd.
That's absurd.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny too, because speaking of Chick-fil-A, the owner of Chick-fil-A put out a statement saying that we are very arrogant to try to say that we should redefine what the meaning of marriage is now, and it's just so silly that people have that. Wow, I'm really loud right now. That people have that idea in their minds in 2013. It's ridiculous. But and how about that Wendy Davis, huh?
Hello. Oh my gosh. For those of you who aren't aware, she, the senator in Texas, filibustered for 11 plus hours.
13.
Well, she needed 13, but she didn't get there. Remember, they made some of hers didn't count because she was helped with a back brace and she was given a sip of water.
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
So that's when technically she did not filibuster to the end, but regardless what she stood for, it actually succeeded. So because the vote that they went into was after the deadline. So
Right.
she won. So
even though they said it was before the deadline,
right,
and then the clock suddenly changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little shady the way Texas
it was not even a little shady. It was very shady.
Very shady.
Yes.
Yes. And did you hear Governor Perry called a second special session that's supposed to be starting? I'll be filibustering on that one.
There you go.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And also, I'd like to thank the State Senate of South Carolina. The governor of South Carolina has continuously, year after year, tried to veto any sort of maintaining, and certainly not, she doesn't like raising any money for the Arts Commission, the South Carolina Arts Commission. And year after year, it has been peacefully have stood against it, and the senators have vetoed her veto again. And so thank you to the State Congress of South Carolina for continuing to support the arts. It's a very important part of South Carolina. I think it's what takes thoughts and prejudices of the past and helps people learn about what the future should look like. And I think that's through the arts, and in a place where people tend to think that's not going to happen, like the state of South Carolina, I think it is very possible to happen. So thank you for continuing to fund the arts.
Shout out to South Carolina.
South Carolina, man. Governor School for the Arts. My friend Carol works there. I mean, it's where I came from, and I love it, and I would not be here today without it. So
good stuff. It's funny, La La Land isn't really a political show, but I almost feel like, and I'm sure that you feel the same way, that if we don't talk about these things on the show, since we have this forum, that we're doing a disservice.
I agree.
I think we have a responsibility to talk about these things, and sometimes we get given a hard time for going into this stuff, but I think it's important. It really is.
Well, I think community and society without art is really just, it's just dead. It's just gray. And that's why we're really fortunate to have programs such as the Culver City Public Theater. We're going to be speaking to them later on the show today, that really make it accessible. And these sort of things can't happen without not just government grants or city grants, federal grants, but also through private grants as well. They get funding from Sony Pictures, who is a member of the community in Culver City, certainly, and who also donates to the AFPA program at Culver City High School. And so it's not just, I think people tend to think, well, the government has to supply it all. Like, it's not that. It's that, they have to set the precedent that the arts are something to support, both in the public and the private sector. And we are a private sector, I guess. I think we're a meld of the two. So we need to shout it out that, yeah, it's
very important.
It is very important.
And also I wanted to take a moment, because we didn't get a chance to do it last week, and send our love and our condolences to the family and friends of James Gandolfini.
Yes.
Incredible actor who passed away, I believe, last week.
Yes. Age 51, too soon.
Yes. So all our love to his friends and family and co-workers and colleagues.
Yep.
So on the show, you mentioned Culver City Public Theater. We have those guys here.
That's right.
They're great. We can't wait to talk to them.
Yeah, they're a mere 3 blocks from my home. That's where they're performing at the Carlson Park. I'm very excited to see their 2 productions this summer, because I can walk.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
and we also have with us actor Nate Parker, who's going to be next up, talking to us about his career and everything that he's been doing with his acting.
Coast to
chops.
coast to coast. Yes, the great East-West Coast debate on theater acting. I think that'll be a fun one. That'll be arousing. And if you want to ask us any questions or ask Nate any questions about anything, our number here is 323-247-7443. So don't forget to give us a call and chime in.
See, I'm not the only one that has to look at the billboard when I say the phone number. I saw you do it. I saw you.
But I'm a lot slicker than you are. I'm a lot slicker than you are.
Yeah. Hey, we had our Fringe Festival is ending this weekend too.
I know, and you know what? Okay, so I went last week and I was all excited. I'm going to A Man of No Importance. So, we had them on the show. I'm really excited, And let me tell you, can I just say to all the cyclovia, whatever, the bicycle thing, you know what? I'm done. I'm done with those, oh, we get to ride our bikes all day. Because if you keep me from going to something like the Hollywood Fringe Festival, I will never support you. I mean, aside from the fact that bicyclists can't decide if they're a pedestrian or a car, or neither. I think they should be neither. I couldn't get there. Like, it should take me 25, maybe 30 minutes from Culver City to Hollywood. Maybe. It took me an hour and 15 minutes. So,
For those that don't know what we're talking about, cyclovia is the bicycle event where they close down all the streets and
and they've done it. They've done it in They did a West Side one. They did it twice in downtown. And for some unknown idiotic reason, I remember what it was. It was because Antonio Villaraigosa broke his arm, and therefore while riding his bike, and then all of a sudden everybody should be able to ride their bike all the time and take up all the streets. Thank you. I'm so glad you're leaving. So they decided, let's do it in somewhere that's really difficult to drive in and get around to begin with, meaning Wilshire between downtown and Fairfax. Let's close that down. Let's make it even harder to get around. That's just the dumbest thing ever. So
traffic in LA is bad enough without
it's bad
adding
enough.
cyclovia.
I know.
I'm really pleased that Eric Garcetti is coming into office, by the way. We've never been big fans of Villaraigosa on this show, but I'm glad Eric Garcetti is coming in.
I know. I would have been more excited about Wendy Gruhl. I'll be honest. I think she was very smart, and I think fiscally, I think she was more on point. But she
just came off so angry to me.
Well, I'm angry, so I'm with her.
Well, maybe you should have co-ran with her.
Well, we'll get. I might be getting a little Leslie Knope in a few weeks, so stay tuned for that. I'll keep you.
We're getting super political on the show today.
I know, like literally, I'm heading into a what is it? A city council meeting soon. So. Are
you really?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah, believe me, I'll be twittering about.
Stay tuned for more.
Stay tuned.
Folks.
I'm serious.
Good stuff.
Leslie Knope has nothing. Okay.
If you have any questions for actor Nate Parker, who's going to be next up on our show, make sure to give us a call at 323-247-7443. 323-247-7443. See, I have it in my head.
You're really good, Chapin.
Oh,
yes.
man. It's
You're
only
really
took
good.
me 6 months. And if you want to tweet us questions, you can tweet us questions at La La Land Talk. You can find us on Facebook at La La Land Talk, or Twitter at La La Land Talk, or send us an email at lalalandtalk@gmail.com. And we'll be back on La La Land Talk.
There it is.
On LA Talk Live. Welcome back to La La Land on LA Talk Live. That's Dorothy Dillingham Blue. I'm Brett Chapin. And we're talking with actor Nathan Parker. If you have any questions for Nate, make sure to call us at 323-247-7443. 323-247-7443. Thank you so much for joining us, Nate.
Thanks for having me.
Studio audience.
Love that.
So, Nate, you've been acting for quite a while, and you haven't always been in LA. And I wanted to kind of start off and talk about your early experiences. You're from New Mexico originally, is that right?
New Mexico, yeah.
Awesome. And when did you first start to study acting?
It's funny. Acting I kind of found as like a salvation. I went to 3 different high schools. So when I ended up, New Mexico is where I graduated in the last 2 years that I got there. I mean, as a new kid in school, you kind of get picked on a lot. And I kind of found my thing in acting. That's kind of how it started.
Good. That's a good way to good distraction for you.
Yeah.
The theater
Awesome.
folk, we're a bunch of weirdos. So, we're just like welcoming anybody. You're new? That's really weird. Join us. Like, right?
It's totally different,
It's the truth. We're
in a
like,
good way.
That's awesome. I'm
Fit
from
right
somewhere
in.
else.
Yeah.
And then you graduated high school, and what did you do from there?
I went to University of New Mexico. In New Mexico, they have a really good program that was brought on by the lottery. So basically, anybody who's a New Mexico graduate, as long as you got a 3.0 and you want to go to a state school, you can get a full ride pretty much. So so I made my choice pretty easy.
Yeah, pretty easy.
It was like free or not.
They need that in California.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Yes, they
awesome.
do. So yeah, I went to University of New Mexico in their theater department, and they have a great program. Some of the best teachers I've ever had are from there. So shout out to Paul Ford and Denise Schultz.
Excellent.
Yeah.
University of New Mexico, 4 years? You went there 4 years?
Yeah.
Where
give or
is
take.
where is the university?
It's in Albuquerque.
Oh, it is in Albuquerque. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. There's a friend of mine. He did. He worked with the Santa Fe Opera House.
Oh
or
my
that
God.
is it the outdoor?
It's so gorgeous.
Yeah. And
Well, it's indoors, but the
in-
back of the theater is open.
right. That's what he was
So
saying.
if you ever see a show there, usually they'll time it so that it works at sunset. So you'll be watching some gorgeous Puccini, and then behind you the sun sets.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
It's just incredible.
He was the technical director over there for a while.
Well, he must have loved it because they
Yeah.
have a great budget
Yeah.
and an amazing space. So
Oh, cool.
Did you ever work there?
no.
No.
I wish I could say I'd worked there. I'm not really an opera guy, so
Okay.
I do more of the pop contemporary rock kind of singing. But yeah, it's a gorgeous place. If you've never been, I highly recommend it. So
Very cool.
yeah.
And after, University of New Mexico, you went to...
I went to New York. I was terrified to go there. Big city, small town kid. But I had some friends who really kind of pushed me to go. And, it's funny, like that city is it either loves you, kind of hates you kind of city, and right away. And it really took me in its arms when I first came there, and it's you learn the ropes fast. There's a half dozen rehearsal studios that all the auditions happen at, and if you're non-equity, you don't have an agent, you get up at 5 a.m. and you pack your bag full of everything you'll need. And if you're a girl, that's a bag that's about 100 pounds, and if you're a guy, it's a bag that's about 50. And you go down and you sign up for all the auditions that you can. And if you're a guy, you get seen by 3 of them, and if you're a girl, you might get seen by 1. And that's how you cut your teeth and learn the ropes. And it's a struggle, but it really makes you love what you do.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's like Survivor, but theater.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Except generally people aren't really trying to pit against each other, right?
No,
Some of the
no.
best friends I ever made was in those lines and hanging out on the floor of some studio waiting for them to call our name. So
You said you sign up for everyone that you can get, and you get seen by 3, so not everyone you
For
get seen by?
non-equity, no.
well, yeah, I mean, if you're going to go, I mean, obviously, to be in an equity show, you're going to have to go to an equity audition. And the way that works is they'll have equity members come in, and they'll assign slots to them. And then they'll take alternates from their alternate list for equity members if somebody doesn't make their slot. And then if there's no alternates and somebody didn't make their slot out of the equity, then they go to the non-equity list. Which, by the way, if you're in the equity building in New York, where their audition room is, you're not even allowed in the building. You're just allowed in this hallway area. And the
okay.
list is unofficial, so it's all pretty much everybody has their own honor code, and they're really genuinely honest about it. So then they'll go to the list, and that list is usually composed of over 100 names, and yeah, you
Luck
rarely
of the
get
draw.
seen. Exactly. And then the non-equity people, it's a lot of people. I mean, I remember Rent Call a couple years ago that it stretched around the block 3 times. It was probably over 800 people they saw.
Wow.
So,
We have a call for you.
oh,
Hello, caller. They hung up. Okay, call back, caller.
sorry about that.
Yeah. By the way, if you're calling in at 323-247-7443, just hold on the line. We don't have a screener, so just hold on, and we'll get to your call. We know that you're there.
I'll try to be brief, not
Yeah.
long-winded.
No, that's okay. They should have hold on.
I threw them off.
No big deal. No big deal.
But yeah,
yeah.
I mean, New York is great. You learn fast. I mean, it's definitely a sink or swim kind of market. You either learn to swim or you die.
Yeah.
The struggle, it really weeds out the riffraff pretty quick. For anybody who's ever been there, you just learn that you're gonna have to work your butt off.
Yeah.
So
A friend of mine went out there a couple months ago to kind of cut his teeth on things, and he came back yesterday. He
he came back permanently?
yeah.
Oh.
He said the competition was just crazy. He said the lines were crazy, and there's a lot of theater people out there.
They take it really seriously. And I don't know, it's good and bad. It's good and bad. I mean, like I said, your friend probably was like, I just don't want it that bad. And it's even more tough now. I mean, there are less shows on Broadway. There are less tours. They pay less. I mean,
well, it's so funny because he was such a big, like he was kind of a big deal out here in LA theater.
Okay.
You know, he got work all the time, but for some reason in New York, it was a little bit tougher for
the
him.
funny thing too is it seems like it's vice versa. I know a lot of Broadway kids who come out here and they're used to being kind of a big fish in a small pond out there, and then they come here and their credits mean nothing, so
Huh.
yeah.
Did you have a preference between the two, New York, LA, or is it just
I'm still
kinda
getting
different?
used to LA. I mean, you guys don't make it easy. I'm not gonna lie.
No.
I really don't do TV and film. I just do theater, and I'm in the wrong town for that, obviously. But I got tired of the business out there. I got tired of every time I got a job, I needed to pack my bags and go on the road. I mean, it's great to see the country. It's really gorgeous, but you get tired of waking up at 6 a.m. and saying, "Where am I?"
Yeah. Now, what tours did you do?
I did the national tour for Jesus Christ Superstar with Ted Neely. That was, I don't know, a couple years ago. Let's just go with that.
Okay.
I played Peter, and I was also Ted's understudy for Jesus. And then I did a national tour for Urban Cowboy. That was not the one that came off of Broadway. They did it a couple years ago where they revamped and put the songs from the actual movie in it.
Okay.
Which was a great experience because I got to work with the original writer, Aaron Latham, and
Ooh.
he was really cool, and it was a nice experience to sort of be on the ground up from something. And those were my two big national tours. I mean, I also did my first gig was this little children's theater tour. It was a version of Beauty and the Beast, but not the Disney version. So
right.
So no longer Belle, but Beauty.
Ah, yes.
No enchanted items, if you will.
Were you the prince?
I was the Beast and the Prince, and it was I had this massive, huge mascot head with nothing else on my body to represent the size of it. So it was. They took the teeth out as well because apparently it was too scary in the earlier versions that they had. So,
so you were
if you will, it
toothless?
kind of looked.
I like it.
Yeah, it was an experience. I mean, it was very bus and truck. So there was, we drove a 12 passenger van that all the cast was in, and then the crew was 2 members, and they drove a Penske rental truck with all of our set and costume, and we would drive 6 to 8 hours every day, and then go to sleep, wake up at 6 a.m, set up our set, get our costumes ready, get our tech ready, and do 2 shows for 2,500 kids. Meet and greet afterwards, then you go and you grab lunch and pack it up and do it again.
Wow.
What an interesting experience, I mean,
the good thing about it is that like I said, you really learn if you want to do this because anybody else who's sane and normal would not.
yeah.
And after that 3 months, the answer was still yes for me. Not to that, but I wanted to do something that was the next step up, and I was fortunate enough to sort of do that. But yeah, theater here in LA, it's been tough to find. It's tough to find where auditions were at first, and since theater doesn't, it's kind of like it seems like you need to be in the in group here to find it. It's been difficult to figure out what's a good company to work for, what's not. Where do I fit in this picture? It's been tricky. I'm not gonna lie. I'm starting to get a handle of okay, this is where they do musicals, and this is where they'll do this kind of show, and this is where they do crazy performance art pieces that I'm absolutely not right for.
How long have you been in LA?
4 years now.
4 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, 4 years, and you're just kind of now starting to get a handle on.
Well, to be fair, when I first came out here, I said that I didn't want to perform anymore, and so
Okay.
yeah, I just transferred with my restaurant job, and I bartended for a while, and then a friend got me in at Nickelodeon on Sunset, and randomly I found my way as a production accountant. So I pay the actors now, which is very odd, because I have no educational background in accounting whatsoever. I was one of those people, I just got really lucky. I had a great boss who took an interest in me and really took the effort to train me. But yeah, I just kind of found that, once you're a performer, you're always a performer. And I was going to the karaoke bars every night, and that wasn't satisfying it. And then I was in a cover band, and that wasn't satisfying it. And so I auditioned for a show again, and
it's that little kind of devil angel-y thing. It's not really a devil. I'd say it's just that little patron saint that's on your shoulder going, "Hey, you remember that thing where you like felt your heart explode and your mind blown? And
Exactly.
let's go do that. Let's go do that again.
Well, I mean, I don't know about you, but nothing seems to get me more motivated than being in a show. I mean, the rest of my life suddenly just gets better.
Yeah.
I start going to the gym more. I start working on my music more. I'm more
So
active.
true.
When I'm not in a show, then I'm just a lot more lethargic and unmotivated.
When you're in a show, the rest of your life gets better. I love that quote because
Yeah.
it's so true. It really does motivate you in everything else as well.
Which is
Yeah.
funny because you have remarkably less time when you're in a show.
Yeah.
You always keep telling
But-
yourself in the show, you're like, if I wasn't in the show, I could do this, this, and this. And then when you're not in the show, you don't do any of that.
But the thing is that you learn to budget your time so much better because you know that you literally have 20 minutes to organize whatever you're about to organize. Because otherwise, it's not going to get done until you close. I mean,
Yeah.
when I was in school, I remember people saying to my parents, how can you let her do all these shows all the time? Aren't her grades like in the toilet? And my mom goes, no. Her grades only go down when she's not in a show. And it's true. I mean, anytime I was in a show, straight A's. If I was not in a show, but I knew I had to get up at 6 o'clock to do my extra reading because I had rehearsal at 4:30. And I mean, what has to happen. So that's how I'm more disciplined. If my brain is working, it's like Alzheimer's patients when they say you have to do something that teases your brain and works it. Or are you supposed to do Sudoku? I don't know. I'm on a tangent, but anyway.
No, it makes sense. I mean, I know what you're saying. It's hard to. It does make the rest of your life better. It makes you concentrate. It makes you care more. I don't know. It's a crazy phenomenon, but it's true. Tell us a little bit about this feature that you're working on.
Well, TV and film is a new foray for me. I've never done any TV or film before, and I have some very good friends who just started a production company. It's called Believe, and they just wrote a feature. This is their first feature they're doing. It's called Penumbra, and they asked me to be one of their lead roles, and I gave them full disclosure that I've never done this before, and I mean, acting is acting at its core, but for all you brilliant TV and film actors out there, it's a whole different world. And having like a camera in your face and lights to the side and a boom coming down and telling you don't move this way, and if you always move your hand this way, you're gonna have to do that for the next 60 takes. That's a different world I know nothing about, so we'll see. But it's an interesting film. It's the concept sort of revolves around two female characters. They're both sisters, and one's addicted to drugs, but she was sort of the savant, the gifted child out of the group, and the other one also had an addiction problem with alcohol, but has since sort of cleaned up her act and become a police officer and is trying to take care of her sister because she feels the responsibility for getting her addicted to drugs in the first place.
Ooh.
So it's a dark twist, but it's also a lot of family love and obligation. I mean, there's a lot to go off of there, so I'm really excited to see where it goes.
Yeah.
And for me specifically, I'm very curious to see how well I can transition. We'll see.
Because that's the freaky thing about acting, going from theater to something like film, is when you're doing a theater show, you really don't watch yourself. There's no
but the
thing.
nice thing about theater that I've found is that, and this is why one of the reasons why I really love theater versus camera and TV, is that you have an audience, so you have an instant barometer of, I'm doing great, or they're with me, they're not with me. Even if they're not even clapping or making noise, like, you can just feel the energy coming off of them. And that's not to say that in a TV and film you don't have a little bit of an audience, but they're really doing a whole nother job for the most part. And I just can't perform without that usually. So, like I said, we'll see what
It's
happens.
why you really have to depend on who else is in the scene with you, and hope that you have that director that is encouraging and checking in with you.
Well, that's even if you get the scene partner. It might be that you're just delivering from one angle, and so your scene partner's not even there, and there's just somebody who's holding the script for you. I don't know. We'll see. The other thing is I'm a bit of a control freak, so I feel like that's probably why I like theater better, is that with TV and film, there's so many angles that you have no control over. I mean, you can be a horrible actor. We'll just exclude some names, but I'm sure we all have at least a couple in mind that we've seen on TV and film. And you may look amazing after it's all done because you had a great editor and you had a great DP and a great gaffer and an amazing camera person and an awesome director. And you can also be really amazing and have it suck because you had a bad editor. And a bad, you know, and with theater, I feel like, well, you could have a terrible set and a terrible material and terrible direction. Ultimately, when it comes down to it, when you're doing a performance, like, you could still sell it at least to a point.
Right.
So
You'll keep everybody informed on Twitter of your upcoming work, correct?
Of course.
And what's your handle? What's your Twitter handle?
At Real Nate Parker.
At Real Nate Parker.
That's right. I didn't want anybody to think I was the unauthentictious Nate Parker. You know?
Oh.
Because I have so many fans out there that, you know, I was worried somebody would try to pretend to be me.
Actually, there's a singer named Nate Parker, I noticed.
Well, the last show that I did, I just did a production of Rent, and
Really? I saw it.
did you?
I did.
I saw it too.
Did you?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Totally.
You look vaguely familiar, like
Yeah,
you
you
might
might
have
have-
been on stage with me.
You might have seen me there. I don't know.
But yeah, I don't know if you saw our review that we got,
Yeah.
but they linked some names, you know, that they had found, and the link for my name was somebody who is clearly not me, as his skin is much darker than mine.
Oh, Shari Barrett.
I was
Come
like-
on.
It's definitely not me, just so you know.
Yeah.
That's I don't know.
That was the other Nate Parker that I noticed
Yeah.
in researching you.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, a lot of people, when they research me, they probably aren't finding the right thing, because I used to go by my actual name, which is Nate Aylworth, but I
Yeah.
changed it because it's Welsh and it's spelled all weird, and I got really tired of casting directors and anybody who I'd meet go, is that Alleyworth or Aylesworth, and then just butcher it. And so
Parker's a better stage name anyway.
Yeah,
right?
I think.
I agree.
Yeah.
So
Nate Parker, thank
Yeah.
you so much for joining us.
thanks for having me, guys.
No problem.
right.
It was awesome.
Keep an eye out for him at Real Nate Parker on Twitter. And if you research him on Google, he's white.
I am indeed.
Yes.
We'll be right back with everyone from the Culver City Public Theater. If you have any questions for them, 323-247-7443. We'll be back on La La Land on LA Talk Live. Welcome back to La La Land on LA Talk Live. That's Dorothy Dillingham Blue. I'm Brett Chapin, and we are talking with a whole lot of people
A whole lot of people. It's a full house.
from the Culver City Public Theater.
Mm-hmm.
We have with us Rhea Erlich. We have Heidi Dotson. We have Derek Green.
Hello.
We have David Narlooch, Carol Vandergrift, and
That's me, Rosie Mandel.
Rosie Mandel. I knew that. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thank you very much.
Well, I'm a proud Culver City resident, and I love the fact that there is, free theater that even if, it doesn't matter where you're coming from, you can go to Carlson Park and watch theater for all ages in the month of July for, what, 5 weeks?
Actually, six
Six
weeks.
weeks.
So we go through August 18th.
Wonderful. So you're opening 2 weeks from today, correct?
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Over
Oh
at
my
Carlson.
God, is that true?
Right. I know. I kind of dropped that knowledge a little bit, and like, everybody kind of paled out. But that's okay. The show is always a mess 2 weeks before, right? And then the director always wants to move to Kansas the Monday before and all that. But no, it's going to be fabulous. So Carlson Park is at the corner of Braddock and Motor,
Braddock
correct?
Motor, yes.
Mm-hmm. So lots of free parking. It's got lots of shady trees. Anything else they should know when they're coming to see a show?
Well, first
Lots
off,
of
I
free
just want to say,
entry.
Lots of free-
exactly.
Yeah.
This is actually our 15th anniversary season, so we've been doing this. Will be our 15th year of doing this. If you come to see a show, the children's show, which is John Henry the Steel Driving Man, that starts at 12 noon, opening July 13th. It's Saturday and Sunday through August 18th. And then at 2 p.m. is Ken Ludwig's Leading Ladies. And stay in between shows. I mean, if you come for the kids show, stay for the other show, and you can watch the set change. That's very exciting also to watch us change over.
Well, yeah, I think that's something, there tends to be this whole smoke and mirrors thing about theater. And I think when you do get to see that raw side of a transformation, that is it's a great thing, especially for kids to see. That it's not that we're taking away, the magic. I think we're adding that element for them, that actually they could do this. Like, they could get out a hammer and, like, go to town, and like,
Exactly.
I'm sure.
Yeah, and we are nothing if not a low-tech theater company because performing outdoors, our lighting system is the sun.
Well, you never have to worry about that person in the booth, like forgetting that freaking cue.
That's true. That is true.
And speaking of directors moving to Kansas, our director of Leading Ladies, Lou Hauser, was supposed to join us today. He did say that he has a cold and laryngitis, and that was the excuse that he gave us. So he may have moved to Kansas. We're not 100% sure. But we do want to send a shout out to him because we think he really probably does have a cold and does have laryngitis. And we want to send a shout out to him and a little of Mom's chicken soup to him as well.
Yes.
Get better soon because we need you next week, Lou. 2 more weeks.
Yes.
Past guest on our show. We love Lou.
Yeah, he's great. He's a terrific director. He's a veteran director from Los Angeles, and he's just great. We're really, really lucky to have him. Really
Excellent.
lucky.
And you've
Absolutely.
got you've got Vicki Miller, who's your choreographer.
Vicki Miller is going to choreograph. There is one scene, without giving too much away, there is one scene in which a number of people have to do the tango, somewhat in the style of those people who know the film Some Like It Hot, the Jack Lemmon, Tony Curtis film Some Like It Hot.
Nice.
Might remember a particular tango scene in there. At any rate, Lou did tell me that when he told Vicki that she was going to have to choreograph me doing the tango, that she immediately fell down on the floor laughing. So we'll see
right.
how that works
Well, then
out,
I will be
so.
there.
Oh, okay. Well,
I will be there.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
she actually has to choreograph David and I to dance like Fred and Ginger. So
Wonderful.
that's going to be an interesting rehearsal.
Yes.
An adventure.
And you've got, and I have to do a shout out to Denise as well. She was our stage
Absolutely.
manager on
Yeah.
Spelling Bee, and I adore her. So
Great. Terrific
you've
stage
got a great
Yeah.
team on there. So
terrific stage manager. And while we're doing that, Susan Stengel, who
Susan,
I think also
yes.
did the sound for Spelling Bee and
Many
does
shows.
many shows, and who directed me in a show at Theater Palisades just recently called Has Anybody Here Seen Roy? Susan's doing our sound.
great.
So for Leading Ladies.
Yes.
And I have to say, if you've come to Culver City Public Theater before, for Leading Ladies, the set by Robert Ballo is the largest set that we have ever had,
Yes.
which means we will be building the largest set every single morning before the show.
Oh my goodness. So
Yeah.
what? Just to give everybody an idea of what goes into it for you guys. What time do you like show up at Carlson Park? Armed with coffee. Like what time is that?
Of course we do.
Our call time is, at least at the beginning, it's 9 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And what we do is we will haul everything out of our storage. We set up the main stage set. We set up the children's show set right in front of the main stage set. This usually takes like an hour and a half to 2 hours. As we progress through the season, we get better and better at it. So it goes a little faster. And then what we do is we put on the children's show in front of the main stage set. After the children's show, about 1 o'clock, we drop the children's show set, haul it back to the shed. I'm looking at my cast, kind of going, oh, we have to do all this. Haul it back to the shed, and then kind of do the final trims on the main stage show, and it goes up at 2 o'clock. And then after that show, we break that set down and we put it away.
Oh my goodness. So basically it's kind of like Renovation Raiders, but on stage.
Yes.
What
Now
Theater
we know what
Crashers. Theater Crashers. New show. It's totally
New
my
documentary
idea.
reality
No one
show.
else can have it.
We're doing it. We're doing it.
No one else.
Maybe
my-
we could get
it's my show.
HGTV to come out, and
That would be
watch the whole
amazing.
thing. Yeah,
That would be a
that'd
great challenge on one of their design shows,
That's
don't you
right.
think?
Oh, yeah.
That would be a
Yeah.
Oh my
fantastic
God.
challenge.
Absolutely.
Well, that guy Antonio, he was a theater designer. I mean, he did design sets.
I think he did. Yeah, I think he designed sets for films, as a
Yeah.
matter of fact. Yeah, and he
won.
He won one of the shows.
That's
Yeah.
very exciting. Oh my goodness.
Now Dorothy and I know what each other watches on television.
Exactly. I know. My husband called it the nesting channel because that's all I watched when I was pregnant. It was like on all the time. He goes, seriously? How many times do we have to watch this? That and like clean house because I always just had this fear of becoming a hoarder, especially in like month 7. I was like, oh my God, I have to like put away onesies for 4 years. But anyway. But that's exciting. Well, so Heidi and Rhea, how long have you two been working with the Culver City Public Theater? Is this?
This is actually, I figured out it's my 10th year.
Wow.
I started out as a volunteer. I literally had just signed up. I was looking online for things to do over the summer, and I saw a volunteer opportunity. I volunteered, not knowing anything about Culver City Public Theater. my first day there, by the end of the day, I was cast in a show and heading off to a rehearsal. And about 5 years later, I was president of the company. So it all worked pretty quickly.
Was there anything in particular, like a particular sort of event that led you to Culver City Public Theater, or?
Just boredom.
Okay.
I teach. I'm an elementary school teacher in the real world. And so over the summer, I don't have anything necessarily to do. And I was just looking for a volunteer opportunity. I'd done theater. I'd done tons of musical theater. And I went online and just looked at volunteer opportunities, Culver City Theater, and I came up with this one. And I really... It's amazing, all the hard work we do and all of the hard work that the actors and the crew go through setting up that stage every day, taking it down. There's still a real joy to it, and the way the community comes in. We get neighbors that live around the park that walk in, people coming from outside the area that will drive in. It's amazing. 15 minutes before the show, suddenly there's just this swarm of people that come into the park. And I have to say, 10 years ago when I started was the first year we did a children's show, and that has become just so incredibly popular over the last 10 years. We get usually around 100 people in the audience. Kids come back time and time again. They know the actors' lines better than the actors know them by the end of the run.
Well, just kind of reading it. Oh,
Oh,
looks like
we have
we've
a
got
caller.
a caller. Hi, caller.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi, I think I'm on live time. Do you still have the Culver City Public Theater people there?
We do.
Okay, good. This is a call from Rhea.
And I know who this is, too.
I wanted to know, it must be very interesting being an older person who's retired and, just delving into this theater thing. How has that played out for her, and how did she get involved in that? I'm just really interested.
Well, gee, it actually came about because I was retired, and I had always said for years that after I retired and had a little time on my hands, that I would go back to doing something I really loved, which was doing theater and acting in theater. Went over to Theater Palisades about 5 or 6 years ago. Auditioned for a show, oddly enough being directed by Lou Hauser, and got cast in the role I wanted in the first show I auditioned for, and the rest is history.
That was your first show?
That was my first show. Heidi, Baltimore was my first show, not the one I did with you. Brett and I were in You Can't Take It With You at Theater Palisades, but I did Heidi, Baltimore at Theater Palisades.
That's great.
It's been about 5-6 years now, so yeah. So that's how I got involved in that.
Wow, that's exciting. Do you have any tips for us young actors that are still, wanting to continue on and do good theater?
I think that because you are a young actor and because you are so amazing, you just simply ought to continue to do what you're doing, because I know how talented you are. So I'm just saying, just continue to do what you're doing. Just saying.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thanks for calling.
That was my friend.
Thanks.
Do we have a second call, Van Erich? Yeah. Okay. Hello, caller number 2.
Thanks for calling. Okay, great, thanks.
Hello, caller number 2.
Yeah. Okay, hello, caller number 2.
Can you turn down your radio and hello?
Turn it down.
You're on the air right now.
Okay. Can you turn down your radio and hello?
Oh, live radio.
On the
Okay,
radio.
we're gonna hang up on you if you don't ask your question right now. He hung up. Okay.
Oh. Oh, well.
Now, I wanted to ask about the kids show. That's something, Derek, you are in John Henry, correct? And Heidi, this is something you wrote?
Yeah, wrote and directed.
And
so.
you were also in, I'm sorry, I'm trying to get.
Yes, and Carol also.
And Carol, okay, great. And I was reading about it, there's a lot of cheering that's possible from the kids. They can really get into the story, correct?
Yeah, it's going to be a really fun show. Yeah, we're actually casting together with John Henry, and but yeah, it's a really great children's story about perseverance, and even now in this day and age. Back in World War II, John Henry was a symbol of diversity and tolerance. So it really brings a really light message to that, and especially with the horizon of a lot of things that just occurred as far as equality is concerned. So it's going to be pretty appropriate for this summer as well.
Excellent. And how's your experience been working on it?
Amazing. I absolutely love the show. Obviously, Heidi wrote this show for Culver City Public Theater, and it's I think we read it. I'm actually a member of Culver City Public Theater as well, because I did a show last season, and they asked me to be a member, and I said yes. And during our first meetings before the summer, Heidi had brought in all this stuff for us to read, and she's kind of working on the show she wants to do for the summertime. And from the get-go, it was just adorable. So I loved it ever since we first started reading it. And it's turned out to be like this finished product that looks amazing. And now we have this amazing cast to do with it, which is what I love about being at Culver City Public Theater. Because you never know with community theater, you get actors from all over the place, and every time I see a show or do a show with Culver City Public Theater, it's like amazing. Like, it's the best experience because you have such talented people working on stuff.
And we have another caller. Hello, caller.
Yes.
Yes. Hi.
Oh, hey, I was calling, actually watching live chat.
Oh, excellent. Did you have a question for our guest? Did you have a question for our guest, or call us?
Oh, I actually just wanted to call and offer support for Derek Green. This is his brother and his family. We're out here in Florida.
You sound like Derek.
I appreciate it, brother. They're calling all in from Florida, so you know how to try to get us to East Coast, West Coast time. So.
That's great.
Nice. Don't we have LA?
Thanks, fam.
Miami Talk Live? Yeah, we're on Miami Talk Live.
Miami Tampa Talk Live.
Fantastic.
We got to tune it in.
Good deal.
Thanks, Darren.
Keep up the good work. We love you, man.
Love you too.
Thanks for calling.
That's actually his daughter there.
Cool.
Well, I was just looking at like the screensaver on his phone. I'm like, who's that cutie patootie on your phone? And it's his niece, who is the daughter of the brother who called. Look at that. Look at that.
La La Land always comes full circle.
Right? I know.
Yeah.
Aww.
Showing pictures.
So what would he? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I've been jabbering.
What would you like everyone to know about Culver City Public Theater in closing? For anyone who wants to
Bring
answer.
a blanket.
Yeah.
Blanket or lawn chair. We don't have chairs for
Sunscreen.
everybody. Sunscreen
right.
and a jacket, especially if you're coming for the 2:00 show for leading ladies. It does tend to get very chilly at Carlson Park.
Bring a picnic.
Bring a picnic, exactly.
And once again, we just want to remind everybody that the shows start on Saturday, July 13th. We run Saturdays and Sundays for 6 weekends. The children's show, the Children's Popcorn Theater presentation of John Henry the Steel Driving Man, starts at 12 noon. And then the main stage show, Leading Ladies by Ken Ludwig, starts at 2 o'clock. And there's even a show between the shows, as Heidi pointed out, because you get to see us take down one set and put up another.
Best show ever.
So by all means, come out and join us. We'd love to have you.
And you can check us out at ccpt.org. And on Facebook and Twitter, too.
Yeah.
And thanks
much
to everybody
social
who
media.
called in. That was really lovely. Thank you very much.
What are your Facebook and Twitter handles?
Okay. Our Facebook is Culver City Public Theater. Carol, speak to
Twitter account at CC Public Theater. And the theater is spelled R-E, not E-R.
Got it. Well, thanks so much for coming in and joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Break a leg on your next few shows.
Thank you so much.
2 weeks away.
2 weeks.
Oh.
We'll mention our theater minute.
Oh,
to
perfect.
Make sure people.
Oh, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate
Stuff.
that. Thank
There'll
you.
be some good stuff this
Thank
summer.
you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, until next week, Dorothy.
I know. It goes by so fast.
I know, it just flies by.
It does.
If you guys want to send us an email or anything, email us to say hello, tell us what you like about the show, what you don't like about the show, and what you have medium feelings about the show on. Send us an email at lalalandtalk@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook, facebook.com/lalalandtalk, Twitter @lalalandtalk. And,
Until next time.
yeah, that's Dorothy Dillingham Blue.
And there's Brett Chapin.
And this is La La Land on LA Talk Live. We'll see you at the top.